Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to cover the Mafex Carnage. This is going to be a pretty fun video. I mean, because it's Carnage. I mean, I just finished recently doing the Maximum Carnage for the Marvel Legends. So I'm on a nice Carnage kick. But this is a little different. While one is more modernized, this is definitely going to be a look at your 90s Venom. For those of you that love Mark Bagley, you love the the Todd McFarlane stuff, the J. Scott Campbell, the Eric Larson stuff, any of that grandtastic 90s nostalgia that you had, this should cover it. While some of it is going to be a little jarring, a lot of it you're going to enjoy. So let's jump to it. Yeah, like you can see here, this is your classic rendition of Carnage. It definitely covers all the bases look-wise and body-wise and art-wise. I mean, with the exception of right here, my neck is poking out. That's one of my gripes, but I'll get to that in a second. Talking about that. But that's my singular issue. I don't think anybody else has that problem. Actually, Robo had an issue with that, and I'll get to that in a second. But look-wise, I think we are definitely covered in terms of the perfect 90s look. It definitely has the nostalgia of that first time he appeared in a comic, splashing in that red and black, that maniac color. Two of my favorite colors. So I'm totally fine with this, and I love it. The look is utterly fantastic. In terms of articulation, let's cover that now. Our Carnage can look up, like really far up. This will help you with any sort of crazy poses that you want to get, like you do with Spider-Man and Venom. You're going to be able to look down. He has a elongated jaw, so his jaw will actually touch the chest, removing some bits of that articulation. But also, we also have the pointed, what's the word for it? The word would be, the curvature of the neck peg here. If you rotate that around, you'll actually get more forward movement as well, because this actually helps with the backward movement. Now, popping this back on, we have a nice little butterfly joint here, allowing for a little movement to go forward. This actually helps with looking more natural in your poses for your Carnage. Add his arms up, so let's actually raise this up just a little bit. This will help with your poses and folding them in, as you can see here. Then we do have a really nice bicep swivel. We are double jointed, so arms can touch the head with no problem. We have a really satisfactory ball joint that is pretty much the standard now for most hyper articulated figures. Then, as far as our torso, we can shift to the side. We can go forwards. We have about this much ab crunch going forward. Backwards, there's going to be a gap. And that's where I think it gets a little weird. I'm not sure where the gap came from, or maybe it's just one of those things where it just helped it function better. But for those of you that don't like aesthetic gaps, this may not be for you, because going backwards, you're going to have a huge gap. Personally, it doesn't bother me at all, but I know it may bother some of you. Then we can actually tilt side to side on that lower ab crunch, which is actually very, very deep, allowing it to rotate. Literally, it's almost side to side, like effortlessly. So with that, you can see you can bend all the way this way, which looks phenomenal. Our leg articulation. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty new. Okay, that's never happened before. Went to go do the pull down method, which usually works here, and I pulled out the whole leg. That is brand new. Now, I don't know if it was because of my crazy strength or, yeah, I pulled too hard, y'all. I just pulled too hard. That was me. But it does do a drop down, just a little bit, enough for you to allow you to get your legs all the way up. Now, one thing I want to say about this Carnage is the plastic itself feels really, really different. Kind of like they changed something on it with all the delays that were hit, not just being plagued by COVID, but just in general, like the Carnage plastic feels different in different areas. So down here, while Spider-Man's Venom's was a little softer, his crotch area plastic is still soft, but it seems more difficult in the front end. So keep that in mind. We do have a thigh swivel, as you saw me pretty much pull it off by accident. Then, as far as our leg, it is double jointed, cuts all the way in, and you have super generous ankle pivot and a toe pivot as well. And you're going to need that for when you do some part swapping, and I'll get into that. Oh, actually going outward, let's try to cover that. The leg goes about this far outward. So in terms of getting moves and our certain articulation, let's see. If we want our Carnage to look really crazy, we didn't do any sort of swapping whatsoever. We're going to, that thigh swivel right here too. Make sure I say that and mention it for those of you who watch me with no volume on. Background noise for some of you, background noise. But yeah, let me stop goofing off. In this case, yeah, Carnage getting that weird arms back pose that we always kind of see him in. Let me just rotate back down again, give you some more better room for your negative space. But I don't really like this pose. So let's pretend we have a nice jumping pose. So yeah, this actually looks really good. And then if we're doing dodging or running or anything like that, let's rotate this guy down. Yeah, I think Carnage works out pretty well. I think I've ruined my thigh gap, my thigh rotation. It's very loose now, but fortunately I do have an extra. But if this one is ruined, it's a little bit of a bummer. But hey, as you can see here, posing wise, Carnage actually really does get it. Like, he can get it. One thing I noticed is that someone commented on my Instagram. I can't remember who it was. Oh, I remember now. It was Bat Force Grump. And he mentioned it, and then I noticed something that it may bother some of you, is that there's no black covering the knees of the joints. And I'm guessing that they couldn't do that on the paint job is because these are actually molded on. It's not just painted on like over. It has like a little overlay, so it's not smooth here. So if you had did that to the knees, you would have lost a little bit of mobility. So I see why they did it, but I also can see why you wouldn't like that aesthetic as well either, because that's a little bit jarring to have all these nice designs here and then you have just really smooth back elbows and knees. So I do totally understand your gripe. So let's get Carnage to move a little bit. Let's get that. Ooh, that's a really tight joint. I'm gonna have to hit that with some shock oil. So now let's get Carnage in some weird, super cool pose. That just looks pretty decent. And I actually like this pose because I'm actually gonna show something with that, maybe in a photo. But yeah, let's go over the accessories. So let's jump to that. Now, seriously, Carnage is literally bursting at the seams with accessories. You legitimately get bang for your buck. For all of you that complain about what comes with accessories and what doesn't, you will actually get a lot with this guy. I'm going to start with the head sculpts, and I'm going to start with the unmasked sculpt. So the Cletus Cassidy 90s unmasked sculpt is so 90s accurate that it could literally be either Spider-Man the animated series, or it could literally just be classic Cletus, like Cletus. Like, it's really, really good. Mafex did an excellent job doing this head sculpt. I think it was nailed down pretty well. For the hair, if it's not red enough for you, I guess you could repaint it, but the sculpt is absolutely there without any sort of objections that I have. I think that the sculpt is there. Then we have this head, which some of you are going to contest is absolutely terrible. Now, this head is actually 2D art accurate. And what's crazy about this is I thought that they would have made it like any other Marvel Legends like head. They would have made the opening and painted it. No, they literally, and I'm guessing this is a language barrier thing or realism versus actuality. No, that's not the right word. But I think you understand what I'm saying is they took the 2D page, created in a 3D sculpt and said, this is how it should work if it's going to be accurate. But it's actually really creepy in a way to get this kind of sculpt without any sort of opening. I think that's pretty crazy. But when you look about accuracy, if you're bringing a 2D thing to life in 3D, this actually makes a lot of sense. Now, people are going to be very divided about this because at first it bothered me, but then I got used to it. Some people may not get used to it. It may continuously bother them. So this is going to be something to argue amongst yourselves because this is absolutely crazy, but it's geniusly accurate, which is it's pretty cool. And then we have our normal head. And I wanted to talk about this because mine has a slight issue. It got unglued at the ball hinge. So now it can actually come out. And I believe this also happened to Robo once. So I know Robo had the faces issue once. And I want to test it real quick. For those of you that like Carnage a lot, we can test it on a quick Marvel Legends. This is a little sidetrack, a little side quest that we're going to do in the middle of the video. And it turns out because mine came off, it actually fits on this perfectly fine. Just like what happened with Robo, which is pretty funny. So shout out to Robo for first finding this in his Wolverine video, because I watched that, and then here we are with this. So it does work on Marvel Legends when your peg falls out. So keep that in mind. I'm going to pop this bad boy back in. And now we're going to talk about the other accessories. So first up, you will get these two separate. You will get the axe hand and you'll get the hammer hand. And these are very much his original weapons that he used. One of the coolest ones where he turned his fist into an axe and a hammer. Blunt objects of a mass murderer, right? If you wanted to get dark and cynical, this is going to hit very close to home with that sort of thing. Then you will get long protruding nail swords, I'm going to call them, because they come directly from the nails. So you'll get one of each nail sword. These are very thin. They poke right through, kind of like the one of those things. It's like a Frieza blast, technically, right? Without the energy, but with symbiote symbiote body parts. Then I think my personal favorites are going to be the X-23 claws, which this is way before X-23, but it's cool because you actually get the knives, and just like if you were like a killer or whatever and you hold them in between, kind of like an assassin, that's what you have here. These are pretty dope. Next up, you'll get actual fist swords. Before we had the finger bladed ones, but these are legitimately fist swords that protrudes right out of the knuckles, and the swords you have here, right? Mine's a little curved. I'm going to heat that up and unwarp that. Next up, you will get webbing. This is Carnage's version of webbing for when he wants to web swing. This can be used by just, actually, let's show it off instead of just saying it. You circle it right through, and normally, because like Venom, he would do it through the fist. You just have it just right here. So let's see how he looks in an actual pose swinging. Let's see if we can get I think we can get something nice out of this. It doesn't have to be accurate, but that's just how I am. But if you want to do some cool web swinging, it is very much possible with Carnage. Or you can turn it into a sword. There's never enough pointy things to like do bad things with Carnage. So yeah, have some fun with that. Get it a little expressive and a little cool, a little different. Next up, we're going to talk about the actual more raising symbiotes, and this you can actually put just like the previous one. It just rolls right up the arm, and this will be like your symbiote is rising or getting mad when he's around Venom, kind of like an alert system, or just to be preparing attack and using your symbiote as a weapon. These can be used on either arm, or you can double them up if you want. Then you will have the hand accessories. So here are the large attack hands. These will probably be your default hands once you get your Carnage, so you can go nuts. You can be using these for slashing, attacking, things like that. Then you have your more relaxed action hands. 2 claws protruding out. Then what's pretty cool is you get like a specific item holding hand when you want to hold like small items, pinch things, or like particular action shoots. These can be really good on doing different types of photos that you don't normally see. Like Carnage being precise with his murder, like plucking out an eyeball or something. Oh, what's really cool is they actually went out of their way to give him weapons holding hands or item holding hands. So here's a sword. And as you can see, you'll get 2 of these, and you can actually hold items, right? Not like he would need them, but just in case he wanted to have some fun, right? Also, here is a 6-inch plus weapon, and it does fit. And technically, it can wrap the finger around because the finger is made of soft plastic. You'd have to heat it up and soften it, but it can hold weapons. Last but not least, you'll still get magnetized hands. These will allow you to stick to things. I'm going to bring down one of my lights and show you. So yeah, magnets, science, all that good stuff. So yeah, you'll get 2 of those, as well as magnetic feet, which you'll just swap out the bottom feet with the pegs, as you've seen with Spider-Man and Venom. So we've covered literally, I think, all the accessories now. So now we're going to get into the size comparison as we continue on with this video. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we're in the finish line. Let's square up and let's get the size comparison done. I think I want to compare the other Mafex stuff before I jump into comparing all the other Carnages. So here we are with Mafex Spider-Man. Then we'll do Venom next. As you can see, my guy's a little worn out. I actually play with them a lot. Not on camera as much as I should, but I do. So here we are. Carnage is actually somewhat in the middle. While Venom is bigger and buffer, he's still just a little bit shorter than him, but he is bigger than Spider-Man. So we do have our comparisons there. Now, I want to show him next to other Carnages so you can see what you got going on. So let's do that. Here is our most modern Carnage. This will be your absolute Carnage, your null Carnage, your revived from the Venomized into the Venomverse stuff. This is this version of Carnage. Next up, we have our Revoltech Carnage, which is probably going to be your minimum Carnage, Dan Slott era, Steven Segovia art. Here we are with the Revoltech Carnage. And then we have the first Marvel Legends Carnage, which I'm just going to pop in here. So yeah, all this red. I'm very happy. Very happy for all this red. So technically, they're all Carnage. You can't get wrong with it because it's actually had a different type of Carnage symbiote each time. So it's pretty cool that they're able to all be different and all technically work. Depending on the look that you want to have, any one of these guys work. They really do. If you want something that's going to be your 90s Bagley, Larson, McFarlane art, sure. You want something more stylized is going to work for you, you can go with the Revoltech. You want something that's very modern and affordable, any of the Marvel, well, sorry, not any of the Marvel Legends, because for some reason this price is outrageous on this first one. But yeah, then we have this guy. But technically, you're going to get what you want. But that doesn't mean you can't use each one of them interchangeably. Look-wise, I think, personally, if you want to do whatever the hell you want with Carnage, you can. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have them fight aliens for all I know, even Predators. Why not have fun? But this is definitely going to be something where you don't really have to pick and choose here. You can have fun. But if you want to pick and choose, pick one that's art style, articulation, and aesthetic, and price will work for you. That's something I can totally recommend. But now, let's jump into it and compare with some other stuff. Just for fun, the first thing I want to compare to, because Mafex also announced it, they announced that they are doing Ben Reilly Spider-Man. Now, technically, with this, you can do Spider Carnage. So, I really like that idea of a Marvel Legends Spider Carnage because you can do that with the Marvel Legends one. So why the hell wouldn't I do that with a Mafex one? So I'm definitely going to have some fun with that. Here we are with a Marvel Legends comic Venom. For those of you that want to compare these two, I don't know why he's so bow-legged now. He's been standing up for God knows how long. Then, in case you want to compare it to the new Retro Wave Spider-Man, here you are. So yeah, he fits right in. He really does. Let's move these guys out of the way. Just in case, last but not least, here is, well, not the last one, but the last Venom for now. Here he is with Big Boy Venom from the movie, in case you wanted to do that. Still think like it looks cool. Next up, we have a Power Rangers Lightning Collection Red in Space Ranger. Then we have a G.I. Joe modified Storm Shadow. Then we have a 1000 Toys Les Millions. And we have a Mezco Me on a Gomez body. I think this Carnage is going to have a good time fitting into a bunch of different universes, having a blast. Next up, let's do a Mythic Legions Vampire, which works out pretty cool. My main man, Storm Collectible Scorpion, will make an appearance. He's always ready to draw his blade and catch this fade. He's the biggest boy, right? And just because I mentioned it and I happen to have it out because I thought it was a cool idea, let's do Carnage and a NECA Alien. Because if those two fought, I don't know what would happen, but I think it would be really ridiculously crazy. So yeah, all in all, I have had a fantastic time actually sitting down talking about this, and hopefully I can have a bunch more time taking fantastic photos. Thank you guys for always watching. I appreciate you. Hope you found this informative. But as always, please be good, do good, drink your water. Later.